No. But with the USDT profits, I then take those profits and I usually rotate them over into a spot portfolio. And I have a list of altcoins that I like for each cycle. I usually buy when I think the cycle is about to start and I feel like, TA wise, it's the right time to buy altcoins. And I tend to hold on to them through the parabolic phase. When the market starts to get really euphoric and people start to get crazy, I start selling out of those altcoins on the way out. It's a strategy that works beautifully until now. So what's happening this cycle and why is it different now? I think it's fair to say that with this alt season, everyone keeps waiting for it and it's been fairly painful for most, with the exception of a few select altcoins that have massively performed like Solana and XRP. It's not been the same as past cycles where you could just buy anything early and just wait for the euphoria phase and everything rises together and then you just sell out then. What we see in this cycle is more like mini alt seasons that are narrative driven, and the problem with that is the narrative is very short lived, and if you don't exit before the hype is over, you're left holding bags. I mean, that's not meant to happen before alt season kicks off. That's meant to happen at the end of the cycle if you don't sell. So far this cycle, my trading personally has saved me from constant dips in my spot portfolio. If I wasn't a trader and I was just entering crypto for the first time and buying things people talk about on YouTube, I'd be really down capital-wise right now and probably emotionally too in that case. So I figured that's got to be other new people's journey right now, and that's kind of what compelled me to make this video today. So what's happened so far in this cycle is instead of my spot portfolio being an additional growth strategy, which is what it's meant to be, at times it has forced me to use my trading as a hedging strategy. And again, that just makes me even more grateful that I do have the skill of trading, because without it, I'd be really stressing about the money that I've put into crypto right now. And the reason I say I've had to use my trading as a hedging strategy, it's not that I've had to do that because my whole spot portfolio is down, because it's not. I'm currently up overall probably about 50 to 60% account growth, so it's good, but it's not great for where it should be at this point in the cycle, in my opinion. So when I really dissect it, the reality is it's only up because of a few overachievers, but that also gets balanced out with some of the underperformers. So when it comes to alt season, it's starting to feel like we're always waiting for the next thing that's going to kick off. Someone puts out an analysis and that starts to spread. We all wait for that to play out. Alts pump for a week, then it's over and they bleed again, and we're back to looking for the next analysis that says this is where alt season will start. And one narrative was Bitcoin dominance hitting 60% and then dropping, but even with that, collectively alts aren't performing yet. And I'm sure you've seen the altcoin meter. We spiked above where all the crypto influencers said this is it, it's in the alt season zone, and again it wasn't. So why isn't alt season delivering? Let's break that down first. First of all, I believe it's the sheer volume of altcoins that we have. In the last cycle, we had 200,000 altcoins. In this cycle, we have 2 million. And all, or more than 2 million now actually, and all of those altcoins are competing for liquidity. We saw the perfect example of that this weekend with the launch of Trump coin. Massive pump on one altcoin, one brand new listed meme coin that absolutely destroyed the rest of the altcoin market. I mean, other than Solana, but we know why Solana pumped as well as a result of it. So we have a problem of oversupply of too many altcoins and not enough liquidity yet. Is it going to come? Time will tell. Problem number 2 is our current economic conditions. If you look back to the last cycle that we had a perfect storm. We didn't know it at the time, but we look back now and we really did have the perfect storm. We had COVID, which meant we were all forced to stay at home and we couldn't work. And even if you worked from home, you can multitask when you work from home. So you are able to get involved in the crypto market. And not to mention, everybody was given stimulus checks as well. So not only were we sitting at home bored with nothing to do, we also had free money. And so we ended up having a pretty epic alt season, pretty epic cycle altogether. But this cycle, we don't have that. This cycle, we have inflation, we have economic uncertainty, we have high mortgages, and we have fewer disposable funds. People are struggling this time. Is that going to get better anytime soon? Again, time will tell. But for now, people aren't doing as great as they were in the last cycle. Another reason why I feel like alt season feels different is the lack of mainstream attention. I mean, Bitcoin hit 6 figures for the first time in its history, and media barely noticed. Look, we do have the plus side with a first-time US president that is pro-crypto, and that might change. That's definitely going to bring in a lot of attention. But when I think about what has happened now as opposed to what is potentially going to happen next, these are the facts, and it hasn't happened yet. And let's not ignore the role of greed, shilling low caps for personal gain, leaving retail traders as bag holders. I mean, the major influencers that were relevant last cycle are realizing the money they should have made by now isn't coming in, and they're getting desperate and becoming insiders on low caps, getting in early, then marketing those cryptos to their audiences, you, as they exit. These are the people deciding what the next narrative is going to be, but you'll notice narratives that have super low caps get all the attention, like memes and AI agents. But when narratives come in that have larger caps, like altcoins and USA coins, they never talk to their audience about it. In fact, they talk their audience out of it. Why? Because they know they can't massively move the market on high market cap coins. And if they can't control it, they can't pump their own bags. But their influence is slowly dying. The days of making a tweet or a YouTube video and the coin mention pumping instantly 20 to 30% are slowly dying off, as the latest shills don't seem to be having an impact on price at all. I mean, where's all the gaming influencers these days? That narrative is currently so far dead underwater. I mean, it probably won't be forever. I'm sure at some point it'll have its exit pump also, but for now, it's kind of disappeared. But as a result, these influencers are getting desperate and their greed is ruining crypto. So with all of that in mind, I made a decision about what I'm personally going to do with my altcoin portfolio. And in order to do that, there were some big questions I had to ask myself. And I'm going to tell you what they are, because if you're also in two minds about this cycle, I think these questions are questions that you should also ask yourself before you make any final decisions. So the first question I asked myself was, is this just the final stretch of pain before alt season really kicks in? Like, am I really just feeling this way because this is how I'm supposed to feel at this point in the cycle, and this is the final damage, and then we're just going to go into this parabolic alt season? It's very possible. It's very possible that that's the case. I'm not usually that kind of emotionally charged like that, but it is possible that, you know, I'm aware that I might be getting over it because that is designed to be that way on purpose. I mean, like I said earlier, Trump has only just come into power, and he's the first USA president to be pro-crypto, and this could be very bullish for crypto. And when something tends to be super bullish, we tend to go down before we go up. So that could happen. I mean, we're still awaiting his executive orders at the time that I'm filming this video, so it remains to be seen. But one thing that could negatively affect crypto is an introduction of tariffs. I'm not sure if markets will react the same way they did in Trump's first term when he announced tariffs, but historically, tariffs are negative for markets, all tariffs. And in his first term, Trump announced tariffs on China in Jan 22-23, 2018. Let's take a look at this chart around that time. This is a chart of the S&P at the top, and Bitcoin is the one at the bottom. So the S&P declined 10.8% over the next 17 days when that tariff was announced, while Bitcoin declined 45% over 14 days. Now, the caveat to that, however, is that this was 2018, which coincided with Bitcoin already being in a bear market after the cycle peak in 2017. So in today's time, I mean, something like tariffs could just cause a pullback. Again, only time will tell. So then the second question I had to ask myself was, if I sell now, will I regret it later? And there's a couple of parts to that. First of all, I'm a public person, so I'm telling you what I'm doing publicly, and that can always turn out to bite me in the butt if it turns out to be the wrong decision. So I have that risk of facing that public scrutiny if I make the wrong decision. But that's not really all that important to me. What's kind of more important is my own personal feeling. Like, would I have FOMO? Would I feel like I'm missing out? Would I regret it? Am I passing up a really good opportunity? You know, all of those questions are things that I had to ask myself. But after weeks of reflection, I've kind of decided that I'd rather pay the price to have my mental space back. So let's go through what that actually means. Okay. After all this reflection, what I feel I know for sure is this. This cycle is a trader's cycle. One thing we can determine for sure so far in this cycle is that there has been massive volatility. As an investor, volatility brings uncertainty and panic. Volatility is an investor's nightmare, but for a trader, it's very different. For a trader, volatility is a trader's dream. It's where the profits are made and they're made fast. When I trade, I'm in early at the beginning of the week and I'm out by Friday. My weekends are off and I'm rested, and by the end of the weekend, I'm ready for the new week. With investing, I've had to watch and manage things far too regularly than I should. Altcoin narratives come and go too quickly to rely on holding anything just for the rest of the cycle. So here's what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to keep a few strong alts, but only the ones that have really performed well already for me. Things like Solana, XRP, Link, DAG. It doesn't really matter what they are because it's about my personal entries and also how bullish higher time frame they still look, and also my price discovery targets for them. Now, I do share all of this with my community that I have in the Capital Club membership. So if you want the deeper details on what I'm doing and when, consider joining us at TTC. The link to the website is in the description of this video. But number two, I'm going to reduce my spot holdings significantly. But with that capital that I get back, I'm going to add it to my trading account so that I can do more short-term trading with a bigger account size. I know for me personally that my emotional state can handle that. So I'm personally fine to do that. For my alts that are currently down, I do believe they will bounce back. I'm not worried about that. And I'm also not selling now, like as in today as I'm filming this. I'm not selling on red. I'm going to look to sell on the next significant bounce. And that might happen in a week. It might not happen for 2 to 3 months. I'm so okay with that. I'm more looking at my current portfolio now to exit rather than to hold or to keep DCAing into. That's more of the point that I want to get across in this video. I don't want you to think that I am bearish on alts and that I think I got to get out now because it's all over. The point that I'm trying to make is that I do think alts are going to pump. I do think we're going to have more upside, however long that takes. But I think on those next really significant upside movements, instead of continuing to buy into these things on higher lows or using your own technical analysis strategy, I'm going to be looking at the charts with a different mindset. And that mindset is, where am I selling this thing now? In addition to that, for my altcoins that are currently down in my portfolio, my goal is to get them back to break even as fast as I can. I'm going to have a very significant strategy for this, and it involves leverage trading those same alts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the capital from altcoins that I've already sold or maybe selling soon, and I'll also take the profits from those. And when I feel, for my altcoins in particular that are currently down, when I feel like they've reached a significant bottom, like the bottom is in and this is going to trend up for quite some time, I'm going to open very low leverage positions on those same altcoins using the capital and the profits that I gain from other things I've sold previously. And that will help any currently underperforming alts to get back to at least break even faster. So that will allow me to exit. Or if they go beyond that, I will ride the trend until I feel the trend is exhausted and I will exit then. Now, that's quite an advanced strategy that I probably will not be explaining on YouTube, but for my Capital Club members, you guys can expect a detailed video on how to do this very soon. Like I said, I really don't want the wrong point to come across in this video, and I don't want you to think that I'm screaming bearish, get out now, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm still bullish on alts, and I do still think we will continue to have potentially multiple alt seasons between now and the end, and I want to be really clear about that. Soon altcoins will pump and people will start saying I sold too early. Know that I'm not selling now. I say it again, I'm not selling now today. I'm switching my frame of thinking to selling pumps instead of holding or continuing to dollar cost average. And that is because